discussed last time. So we discussed in the second canto, we are discussing the last chapter of second canto, 210, which was named as Bhagavatam is the answers to all questions. So where all the 10 sections, what Bhagavatam talks, all the 10 things that Bhagavatam talks has been described. And after that, in that chapter, there is a description of Sarga and Visarga, which are the first two things of the 10. And the Samam Bonam, which is the 10th, comes in the 10th canto. Although these 10 things are described in Bhagavatam, and some cantos describe it in very lucid and very detailed way, but parts of this are in different cantos. I think this is more discussed in the Bhagavad Prabha series by Ujjwala Mataji. So that I'm not going to again repeat. But what I'm going to say here is that in the 10th, in the chapter, last chapter, what happens is after describing the Sarga and Visarga, then there is a description about how we come to the third canto. So at the end of the second canto, Shukadeva Goswami was going to describe the Padma Kalpa to Maharaj Parikshit at around 2:10:47. But Shaunak Rusi inquired about the topics of Vidura leaving home, his pilgrimage, and his conversation with Maitreya Rishi. So this is, and why they asked, because there is a little discussion which had come earlier in the first canto, that is in the 13th chapter, first canto, 13th chapter, that Vidura has gone into pilgrimage. So Sutta Goswami replied by quoting Sukadeva Goswami, who had already explained this subject matter in response to Parikshit Maharaj's similar inquiries. So he responded telling about that Parikshit Maharaj already asked this question, and let us go more into it. So the chapter, third canto, starts with question by Vidura. So how I can give a brief background of that chapter and coming to this chapter. So that chapter tells that first Sukadeva Goswami spoke about Vidura's renouncing home, and then Parikshit Maharaj inquired about Vidura Maitreya Samvad. What happened with them? I want to hear more about it. Then there is a description about what are the atrocities that Dhritarashtra did to the Pandavas and how Vidura helped to save them. Or Vidura was not agreeing to all those things. Like, for example, the example is setting fire to the Lakshagraha, insulting Draupadi, cheating in gambling, disregarding Krishna, like when Krishna came to make the peace accord. All those things he was not happy with, because when he was asked to give his opinion, he told that all things are not done in proper order. And this is because of Duryodhan being the person who is actually, because of his love, Dhritarashtra is taking this kind of decisions. So when this was told, Duryodhana became very furious, and he started saying so many bad things to Vidura. And even what he told is, he was saying that son of maid servant, he betrays those whom he subsisted. Those kind of things he wanted to tell. And Vidura thought that this is just the Lord's Maya, and he wants me to get purified. So what he did, he put his sword in the and all the arrow and bows what he had in the door of the place, like the palace, and went towards the pilgrimage. And he then went to different pilgrim places. He did not go directly to Krishna, because he thought, because in his heart it was there that because he helped people like Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, and he was working in their company, so some of purification is needed for him, although that is not required because he is always purified. But he thought that way, and then he went for the pilgrimage, and he went to different places of pilgrimage. Then finally he reached a place which is called as Prabhasa Kshetra. There he came to know that all his relatives are being killed, like the Mahabharata war is finished and everybody is killed. And then he wanted to come back and check what is going to happen. While he was coming back, I think Prabhas Kshetra actually, when he was coming back from Prabhas Kshetra, he met Uddhava there, who was also meditating there. And Uddhava, as you know, is the cousin brother of Krishna. And then he looks very close, very similar to Krishna. But he has deep affection for Krishna. So when he saw Vidura, and Vidura asked some questions to him, he asked, are the original personalities of Godhead Krishna and Balaram, who descended on the request of Lord Brahma, doing well? Then he asked about the Yadus. Then he asked about the Pandavas, are they doing well? And then he told that Dhritarashtra, I tried to make him understand, but he did not understand. And he asked me to go away. And that's by the mercy I got to come to this pilgrimage places. And then comes this chapter, which is named as Remembrance of Lord Krishna. So when this question was asked to Vidura, Uddhava, Uddhava was totally in remembrance of Krishna. So the first verse says, when Vidura inquired about his dearest Lord Krishna, Uddhava could not reply due to excessive anxiety. It says Otkantha, because his kantha become avaruddha. He could not even talk. And then the second verse says the childhood, how he used to worship the deity. So absorbed in worship the deity of Krishna. Even if his mother would ask for the food, he would not take the food before worshipping the deity of Krishna. So much absorbed. And he has no wish to also have it. Then Uddhava's devotion did not slacken even in old age. Now he has become old. When asked about Lord's message, he at once remembered Lord's lotus feet. And then the ecstatic, when he was just remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, the ecstatic symptoms came. And he remained silent for like a muhurta, which is close to 48 minutes. And all those ashtavikara symptoms came. And Vidura saw that. And seeing the symptoms in Uddhava's bliss, Vidura could understand he perfected his love of Godhead. That is the Uddhava's position. And Uddhava soon came back to the external consciousness and then started speaking. So from verse number 7 to 11, he told that Krishna, who is the sun, has already set. It means he has completed his pastimes and went away. And he also told about that Yadu dynasty also has gone. And how he explains, our has set, Krishna's sun has set, and our house has been swallowed by the snake of time. What can I speak about welfare? And he was in total separation from Krishna. And he told that that the Yadus are unfortunate, that even though Krishna was with them, they could not see his Bhagavan form. They could not understand that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. They could understand the Paramatma form, but nonetheless, they were doing it in the mood of in Anukula Bhavena. It's not Pratikula Bhavena like the demons do. So we'll see in this verse. This verse is actually telling that people, we would discuss more about this. So let's recite this verse. So these are all the backgrounds here. So let's recite. Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Ye Chanyam Asadashritaha.
Ye Chanyam Asadashritaha.
Bhamyate Dhirana Tadvakyair.
Bhamyate Dhirna Tadvakyair.
Atmani Uttat Manohara.
Atmani Uttat Manohara.
Let's recite it again. Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Ye Chanyad Ashadashritaha.
Ye Chanyad Ashadashritaha.
Bhamyate Dhirna Tadvakyair.
Bhamyate Dhirna Tadvakyair.
Atmani Uttat Manohara.
Atmani Uttat Manohara.
One more time. Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Ye Chanyad Ashadashritaha.
Ye Chanyad Ashadashritaha.
Bhamyate Dhirna Tadvakyair.
Bhamyate Dhirna Tadvakyair.
Atmani Uttat Manohara.
Atmani Uptatmano Haro.
Let's do the voluntary recitations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mantra.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta
Devasya
Devasya Maya Sprishta
Ye Chanyat Asadashitaha
Ye Chanyat Asad Ashitaha
Bhramyate Dirna Tadvakyai
Brahmati Tadvakye
Atmani Uptatmano Haro.
Atmani Uptatmano Haro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
One more recitation.
Devasya Maya Sprishta
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta
Ye Chanyat Ashitaha
Ye Chanyad Asad Ashvitaha
Brahmayeti Dhirna Tadvakye
Bhamyate Dhirna Tadvakyair
Atmani Uptatmano Haro.
Atmani Uptatmano Haro.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One more recitation. Okay. So then we can otherwise continue with the discussion. So here we see in this first part is Devasya Maya Sprishta. One who is affected by Devasya Maya or Devi Maya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ye Chanyad Ashadashvita. Asadashrita means who is actually taking care of Asad Ashrita, means illusory, taking the shelter of illusory potency. What happens with that? Bhramyate dhir na tadvakya. So only who is under the influence of Deva Maya, they actually understand, they go into the illusory understanding. But Bhramyate, Brahma, it comes from the word Brahma. So but dhir means the person who has proper understanding and who is a devotee of the Lord. So he na tadvakyai, with those discussions, he is never affected. Atmani upta atmanah haro. So by those words, he is always in the supreme self. Like for example, surrendered soul. Those surrendered souls are always thinking about the Lord only, and they are not bewildered by any other things which are being told to them. And we will see in the purport what this means and how we can also keep our own understanding of the Supreme Lord, even though so many things have been told about the Supreme Lord Krishna, and how we can keep our focus on the Supreme Lord. So let's read the translation and the purport.
Under no circumstances can the words of persons bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord deviate the intelligence of those who are completely surrendered souls.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So it says, under no circumstances, there is no circumstance which can bewilder the surrendered souls of the Lord. Now we'll see in the purport how that comes. Yeah, purport.
Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to all the evidences of the Vedas. He is accepted by all acharyas, including Sripada Sankaracharya. But when he was present in the world, different classes of men accepted him differently, and therefore their calculations of the Lord were also different. Generally, persons who had faith in the revealed scriptures accepted the Lord as he is, and all of them merged into great bereavement when the Lord disappeared from the world. In the first canto, we have already discussed the lamentation of Arjuna and Yudhishthira, to whom the disappearance of Lord Krishna was almost intolerable up to the end of their lives. The Yadavas were only partially cognizant of the Lord, but they are also glorious because they had the opportunity to associate with the Lord, who acted as the head of their family. and they also rendered the Lord intimate service. The Yadavas and other devotees of the Lord are different from those who wrongly calculated him to be an ordinary human personality. Such persons are certainly bewildered by the illusory energy. They are hellish and are envious of the Supreme Lord. The illusory energy acts very powerfully on them because, in spite of their elevated mundane education, such persons are faithless and are infected by the mentality of atheism. They are always very eager to establish that Lord Krishna was an ordinary man who was killed by a hunter due to his many impious acts in plotting to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and Jarasandha, the demonic kings of the earth. Such persons have no faith in the statement of Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is unaffected by the reactions of work. Namam karmani limpanti. According to the atheistic point of view, Lord Krishna's family, the Yadu dynasty, was vanquished due to being cursed by the Brahmanas for the sins committed by Krishna in killing the sons of Dhritarashtra, etc. All these blasphemers do not touch the heart of the devotees of the Lord because they know perfectly well what is what. Their intelligence regarding the Lord is never disturbed. But those who are disturbed by the statements of the Asuras are also condemned. That is what Uddhava meant in this verse. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here Srila Prabhupada starts with that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There should be no doubt in our minds also, because it is even there are multiple evidences in the Vedas. And he then says that he is also accepted by acharyas like Sripad Sankaracharya, who gave the Shariraka Bhashya, or who told about the monism part, which is actually the Mayavad philosophy developed. But he himself told that Supreme Lord Krishna is the supreme authority in his Govinda Damodar, in the what is that shloka? Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. In that shloka, during the last pages of his life, he has composed so many different poetry in the glorification of the Supreme Lord. Even in Bhagavad Gita, he mentions, when he gives the commentary there, he mentions about that Lord is the supreme absolute truth, and no one can equal Lord, the Supreme Lord. Then he tells about that in the present world, different classes of men accept different kinds of theories based upon their understanding. So as Krishna says, Ye yathamam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. Whoever sees me in what way, the way I also provide them the intelligence to see me, like in that way. So if a person wants to see in a mood of love and devotion, Krishna sees that way. But if somebody wants to hate Krishna or don't want to know anything about Krishna, Krishna also allows that. So here, generally persons who have faith in the revealed scripture accept the Lord as he is, but all of them merge into great bereavement. So you can see in the first canto, there is a description when Yudhishthira Maharaj asked Arjuna about the whereabouts of Krishna, and he comes to know that all the inauspicious symptoms have come. He realizes that Krishna had left the planet. That's why those symptoms are coming, and they were in great bereavement. And towards the end, not only then, but towards the end of the life, they could not have that separation from Krishna. That was so deep love. They have so deep love and devotion for Krishna. So it says, Srila Prabhupada says, almost intolerable up to the end of their lives. And then he talks about Yadavas, in which dynasty he was born. Krishna was born there. But they could not, that's why it says partially cognizant of the Lord, because they could only understand the Paramatma. He was the Paramatma feature of the Lord, but they could not understand that he is the supreme personality of God. And they also rendered Lord, the good thing is they rendered Lord intimate service. And that is in a favorable way. So that's why Yadavas and other devotees of the Lord are different from those who wrongly calculated. So other people say that he is a human and he is doing the humanly activities like a other human being. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashrita. So whoever whose mind is bewildered and who cannot understand mudha, he says mudha, they cannot understand that I am not in the, even though I am doing the human-like leelas, but I am not a human, not a human. I am something very unique from human, supremely powerful. So all those things Krishna tells. So here it says they are hellish and are envious of the Supreme Lord. The illusory energy acts very powerfully. That's why what happens? So because of that, because of this kind of attitude, the illusory energy acts very strong on them, and they have no faith on Krishna, and they actually become have a mentality of atheism. They're always eager to establish that Lord Krishna was an ordinary man who was killed by a hunter, and there are different theories. Here, and Srila Prabhupada now mentions Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's description here, that that it has been told that because he killed all the demonic kings like Jarasandha, and killed the sons of Dhritarashtra, Jarasandha, so he was cursed. That's why he was killed like by a shabara like that. So those theory is there. But here you can see Namam Karmani Limpanti. This is very important. Like we can understand this way. For example, if the water comes, okay, and then there is a ground is there and the water falls, like the rain falls, it goes and seeps into and goes deep into that. But what if there is a layer of plastic on top of it? If the water falls, can it go in? It cannot. So you can imagine, like, I'm just giving a mundane example to make this point. But here what I'm saying is Namam Karmani. So karma principle never touches the Lord, because there is a divine thing which is covering it. It never touches the Lord, and Lord's energy is doing it. So how can Lord be controlled by his own energy? Otherwise, he is not Supreme Lord. If his energy is more powerful than himself, then he cannot be Supreme Lord. So that's why he says, Namam Karmani Limpanti. Karmani, the karmas are not touching myself. It is my external energy which is working on that, and it is working on all the jivas, but not on me. So according to atheistic point of view, Lord Krishna's family, the Yadu dynasty, was vanquished due to a curse of a Brahmana. That was being told. But all those things, what is being told by the Supreme Lord, never bewilders who is a surrender devotee, who knows that who is Krishna and what is his position. And can he be coming into those purview of things that a normal human being goes through? No, he understands. And because of his understanding, here it says that intelligence regarding the Lord is never disturbed. But those who are disturbed by the statement are asuras. They are also come. So we should not get disturbed by that, because we have a lot of faith in this verse. So that is what Uddhava meant in this verse. So Uddhava wanted to tell these things, that persons who are totally surrendered to the Supreme Lord are not bewildered by Maya. And this is an instruction for us also, that if we hear certain things about Krishna told by different people in different ways, we should understand through the eyes of the Sadhu, Shastra and Guru, that what real position of Krishna is. And we should not get bewildered and have complete faith. See, devotees like Uddhava, who had very close association with Krishna, is totally immersed about Krishna. Do you think that he would believe in all the things that being told about him? Never, because he is enjoying the beautiful bliss of devotion. He is in that ocean of bliss. So if one is in the ocean of bliss, how he can understand what is going on, and then how that bliss is coming? If Krishna is not the Supreme Lord, how that bliss will come? It may never come. So that is phale, like Prabhupada says, phalena parichayate. Means the results will tell what is the thing you would see. Like, for example, you do a work and the results you see, and then you can recalculate, oh, these are the results, so I should either do this work or not do this work. So when someone is devoted in love for Krishna and getting supreme bliss. So you can understand that Krishna's position is really elevated. It is being told by Shastra, it has been experienced by the sadhakas, and what more we need to establish that point. So with this, I'll pause here and we can move ahead with more discussions, more corrections. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, for me, it looks like, so even Lord himself came on earth and did what all he did for our human race, like to establish the Dharma, but still majority of the people still seeing him as an ordinary man, and so looks like very weird, and that's how probably we also might be in the same situation.
We were sometimes thinking, because of our not improper understanding, we used to think that way. But when we get the association of pure devotees of the Lord, then we have the correct understanding. Thank you. That's a wonderful point. Yes.
Yeah, without Srila Prabhupada and all this ISKCON centers, right? So very few people like the opportunity to know about the God and having that ruchi for the Harinam. I think this is all impossible, looks like. So
yeah, it is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all the Vaishnava acharyas in four different sampradayas also, they also mention that in their own way. But how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given to everyone, like opened his storehouse and given, whoever is qualified or not qualified, he is giving them the love. That is not being seen in the history. So, and then Srila Prabhupada distributing that to us, so that we as conditioned souls, our understanding was not proper. And because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his associates, we are able to understand the things in a proper way. That is so nice, actually. Otherwise, what will happen is we would go with whatever stories are being there going on. Like, for example, I have heard the story that because it was Bali actually who came back and then killed, because Bali was killed like with an arrow. Those kind of things were there. But the thing is that when there is a proper understanding that Krishna is beyond all these things, he's like the sun actually. When you see the sun, you see in the daytime, and the nighttime you don't see, it disappears from the vision. But the sun is there in some other place. Same way, Krishna has disappeared from here and gone somewhere else in some other universes. So yeah, that is it. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, so I think the backbone right from top, right, the pure devotees, without those Guru Parampara of all the pure devotees, it is definitely impossible to get this kind of association and knowing about the God. Otherwise, it is easy for anybody to misunderstand and or dilution of the Shastras, right? So it has been gone by now. So only because of the strong Guru Parampara system, I think we all having this classes right now. This wonderful system, so amazing, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Amazing. But classes are going on in other ways also. But we have to understand which classes are important and how it is linked to the parampara. So yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for putting this point forward. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other discussion points? Any other take home? If not, thank you so much for this wonderful association. I really appreciate having this time, this 30 minutes, this 32 minutes, whatever we spend, because whatever time is being spent in this discussing Krishna Katha is so purifying, And then now it's our our goal is to just to meditate upon what we discussed. So that way, those things will rotate in our mind, and then we have more understanding. And when we read more, we will understand more. Thank you so much. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vranda ki jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.